Hello everyone, and yes, you've read it correctly. I am taking a little break from YouTube, and it's not very often that I take breaks from YouTube, but when I do, it is for a good reason. But I'm gonna address this at the end of the video before we're gonna check out the game. So it's a game from yesterday's Banter Blitz session. It's the semifinals, Magnus Carlsen versus Levon and Aronian to decide who will face Wesley. So in the finals of the Chess 24 Banter Blitz sessions. And it's one of the games that I've chosen. There were a lot of games to choose from. I decided to show this one because it's, well, it's just really nice. Hope you guys agree. So let's just dive straight into it. Magnus has the white pieces, and he opens with d4. We have knight to f6 by Levon, knight to f3, and g6 now. Bishop to f4, Magnus goes for his London system setup, and bishop to g7. We have e3 and c5 now, immediately striking in the center, c3, strengthening the center, and now a capture in the center. Captures, and here Levon castles. We have knight to c3 by Magnus, and d6. In the future, one might do an e5, but we'll see how white develops. We have bishop to e2. And knight to c6 now. And here Magnus castles. And there is one game in the database. It was from the Russian Blitz Championship where bishop to f5 was played. Vladislav Artemiev played it against Boris Grachev. The game ended in a draw in 2017. But here we have knight to h5 by Levon. And it is as of move 9 that we have a completely new game. So let's see what this means for us, the viewers. So the bishop is under attack. You can either go bishop to g3, but first bishop to g5. Now asking, do you want to create further weaknesses on the king side? And Levon says, yeah, no problem. I definitely want to get rid of that bishop. Bishop to h4 and now g5. So here, the idea is we're going to kick away the bishop to g3 and then trade off our knight for bishop. But Magnus says, nope, let's go d5 instead. And what's happening here now? Now, you could move the knight. There are some lines where, for example, you can go knight to b4, a3, knight captures on d5, and then capture the bishop. You could just play g captures on h4. You could go with the knight to a5, so a lot of possibilities here. However, Levon goes for g captures on h4, and it seems like you're opening up your king too much, but since you've just grabbed white's dark square bishop, you're not really all that worried. So first Magnus doesn't recapture on c6, first knight captures on h4, because you're either going to capture the knight on c6 or the knight on h5. So here we have knight to f6 and d captures on c6, grabbing back the piece. Now b captures and rook to c1. So here, like I said, Levon's king side is a bit open, but Magnus without a dark square bishop, not all that much to worry about. So rook b8, developing while attacking, and b3, Magnus defends. We have queen to a5, now putting some pressure. If the knight moves, you can pick up the a2 pawn, and here knight to a4. We have c5, as now the c6 pawn is under attack, so Levon defends it, c5, and queen to d3 now. A nice developing move by the queen, preventing the natural developing bishop to f5 move, also with the knight and the queen, so the knight can now also move. Plus, you want to play knight to f5 at some point, as you don't have only one knight on the rim, but actually you have two. Because we often say a knight on the rim is grim, but what about two knights? So here, rook to d8, developing, and now rook f to d1. So everything has now been developed. Magnus will decide what to do with the knight. Probably go knight to f5, so Levon not really worried all that much about developing the light square bishop. So first bishop to d7, a waiting move, but also kind of preparing bishop to b5 to trade off a lot of pieces. And here we have knight to f5, and this is where the magic really happens, because here bishop to b5 is what you want to do. Bishop to b5, and then you just start trading off everything, because knight captures on e7 with check doesn't work here. If you go for knight captures, just king f8, and now you will lose some material here. So instead, Levon, instead of going for this, Levon finds a brilliant attacking move, c4. And now everything is hanging. So this is hanging, as you can see, it's attacked twice. You cannot capture the pawn, the knight will be hanging, so everything is hanging. However, it's a great attacking move that basically loses the game. But this is only one of the pause the video moments for this game, so feel free to pause the video and find this idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on figuring out that this now works, and there's a very special reason why it works, because the bishop is here. So the rook is not defending this pawn, and this is why this is now a good move. So knight captures on e7 with check. This is what Magnus played, but it's not all that simple. It's a unique line and only one way to play it. So king to f8, and now comes rook captures on c4. So the queen is no longer under attack, and you will give up the knight, but it doesn't matter. King captures on e7, you have to capture it, otherwise you've just, you've done nothing. So queen captures on d6. This would not be possible if bishop moved to b5 in the line that we've mentioned, because then the rook would be defending the d6 pawn. So queen captures on d6 with check. King to e8 only move, and now how do you continue this attack? Feel free to pause the video and continue the attack for white. There's only one good way to do it. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not only spotting the idea on the first pause the video moment, but also continuing the attack properly. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's rook to c5. Now, the queen is under attack, and you're threatening rook to e5 with check, and it's not an easy way out. So queen to b4, now saying, okay, you can deliver your check, we're going to trade queens, I'm going to block with bishop to e6, so not a problem. Here, rook to e5 with check, also adding an attack to the queen, putting pressure on the rook, but it doesn't matter because everything is defended. So bishop to e6 only move, the king cannot move, the queen cuts off this diagonal. Bishop to e6, and now how do you finish the attack? Feel free to pause the video for the third time and win the game for Magnus while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on again spotting the only winning move. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's bishop to b5 with check. This not only delivers check, but also forces black to make some very nasty decisions. For example, if you move the king, which you kind of can't really do because the queen covers this diagonal, like we said, but if you block with the rook, you cannot block with the bishop is pinned. But if you block with, for example, the rook, then just queen captures, or with the knight, doesn't really matter, because the rook no longer guards the queen on b4. So what else can you do? You could play rook captures on b5, which is a possibility, just capture that, but then you get rook captures on d8 checkmated. There is no rook on b8 to defend the rook on d8. So Levon tried the only thing left, which is queen captures on b5. He has to trade queens, there's nothing else to be done here, but it doesn't really work, because rook captures on b5, now you have to capture the queen, rook captures on d6, and now rook captures on b8 with check. King to e7, and now rook to b7 with check. It doesn't matter if you block with the rook, white will just trade and then pick up the pawn on a7. So knight to d7 blocking, and now Magnus trades like this. Captures, captures, and captures. And here, after all is said and done, on move 31, we have a rook against the bishop pair, which usually is not a good idea. As you know, the bishop pair, when fully operational, is not, something to mess around with. However, Magnus has 6 pawns, and Levon only 2. And also Magnus has 2 connected pawns on the queen side. So let's see how this plays out, as it only gets better from here. So bishop to d5, now kind of making it difficult for Carlsen to bring the king into the game, because you have to keep an eye on the g2 pawn. So king f1, h5 by Levon, and now again you cannot move the king because this pawn falls, and Magnus, reluctant to play f3 for some reason, decides to go into an endgame, which I guess he knows, as he knows so many endgames by heart, that will be good for him. He plays rook captures on d7 with check, so he gives up the exchange, and he wants to play a game with a knight against the bishop pair. So Levon captures, knight to b6 check, king to c6, and now knight captures on d5. King captures, and now finally brings the king into the game. So Carlsen with 6 pawns against Levon with a bishop and 2 pawns, and well, it's just not an easy thing to play. So bishop to f8 by Levon, we have king to d3. We have f5 and now f3, preparing to bring all the pawns here, and at some point you want to play g4 and bust open the position. We have bishop to a3. Levon will try to control the queenside pawns with his bishop, as they will not be able to cross the dark squares, and he will try to fend off the king side majority with the 2 pawns and with the king. So g3 and bishop back to d6, just keeping an eye on the dark squares, preventing h3, because then you can just eliminate this guy here. So a4, you can't prevent all the pawns from being pushed. Bishop to b4, again keeping an eye on the dark squares. h3 now you don't have control of the g3 pawn, so bishop to e1, going after the pawn, but now g4. We have captures, and now you could either capture, and then after Magnus captures he gets a passed g pawn, or Levon played h4, which again gives Carlsen a passed g pawn. So now he has a passed g pawn, a passed e pawn, a passed b pawn, and a passed a pawn against a bishop and king. So can the king and bishop stop all those passed pawns? E4 with check. We have king to e5. If you go here, then the g5 pawn marches forward. It's not going to be easy to stop this, as the king also covers the c3 square. So king e5, but still g5. And you want to remember this, when you have 2 pawns with 1 square apart, they are able to create, sorry, we're going to use red. They are able to create a wall here against the king, so the king cannot approach the g pawn. So bishop to a5, just wasting a move, keeping an eye on the dark squares on the queen side, and now king to c4, preparing to push the b pawn. So bishop back to d2, attacking the pawn, and now g6. King to f6, and now b4, just advancing those passed pawns. King captures on g6, and now a5. b5, although you put your pawns on light squares, is still winning, but a5 just makes more sense. So here, king to g5, and now a6. We have bishop to e3, guarding the a7 square, but now comes e5. We have king to f4 by Levon. Maybe you can do something, but Magnus just plays e6, and it was in this position on move 52 that Levon Aronian resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done. It's impossible to stop all the pawns, and you can't even reach this pawn. You cannot go here, and even if you could, you can't keep an eye on this pawn. I mean, it is just crazy. But I really like the game. How Levon found that brilliant attacking move c5, Magnus took advantage of it with the only line possible, and then in the end, when he could have even tried to hold on to the rook, he decided to trade down, as he knew, of course, the 6 pawns against 2 pawns and the bishop was winning for him. So really crazy game. Magnus wins it, and he also won the match against Levon 5.5 to 2.5, which means he will face Wesley So in the finals of the Chess24 Banter Blitz Cup. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I would like to thank everyone for your extensive comments and feedback on our chess manga. If you still haven't checked it out or read it, I will put a link to it in the description below. Will be the first thing you will see, and it's one of the things I wanted to mention that I really enjoyed all of your feedback. But I got the impression that some of you got the idea that what we've tried to achieve was just get the absolute best team possible to create the best possible product. While we are striving towards this, we are basically we are trying to spin this around the team. So we got a team. It's not a professional team. It's team that's basically never done anything similar to a project like this, and they are growing with the project. So that's what we're going for, and I really enjoy doing it with the team, and hopefully, you know, every chapter will be better. We're gonna learn more and more with each chapter, and let's say by chapter 8 we're gonna be really good at this stuff, and then who knows, maybe the prequels, maybe the next stuff will be even better. Not maybe, I mean, it's definitely gonna be, but that's what we're going for. So we're not interested in like just hiring the absolute best possible people for the job and then, you know, getting that. No, we want to grow the team around the project, and I think the end result will be great. So thank you for all the feedback, and thank you for all the comments about chapter 1. That's just amazing stuff. And if you read it, and if you still haven't left any sort of feedback, do know that we read all of them, and we are very happy to get any and all comments and feedback. So that's regarding the game and the manga. Now regarding me taking a short break, as you know, some time ago I announced that I will be taking a short break, as I do have to get my heart valve replacement surgery, and it's due tomorrow. So not tomorrow I'll be admitted, so probably maybe the day after tomorrow, and I don't know when I will be back. It's gonna take some time for me to recover. Probably I'd say month and something until I'll be able to get back. I would enjoy being able to cover the candidates tournament, but we're gonna see. It's not something that can be rushed, and you know, when I will recover sufficiently to join you guys here on the channel, then I will return. So it's not gonna happen before that. And even though I would very much enjoy to cover the candidates tournament, if not, there are plenty of other great chess channels where you can enjoy all the action. And if you really can't go without your daily dose of chess videos on this channel, you can rewatch some old sagas. There's the Bobby Fischer saga, there's the Michal Tal saga, there's the Candidates Tournament 1959 saga. You can check out the Magnus versus Anand 2013 World Chess Championship match, and also the Candidates Tournament. You can check out the short Rashid Nejmedinov saga. So plenty of stuff to check out if you are a newer subscriber to the channel, and even if you're not, maybe you can rewatch some older stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that that's why I'm going to be absent for a while. So yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching. I would like to thank Reynaldo Chess Lessons, Lakshmi Deptivure, Bauros Nazem, Henry Buist, and William McKay for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.